Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at villageXchange@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
And the child shall lead them to buy our merch.
You guys, you have to join us on one of these live streams. It's hilarious. The comment section's hilarious.
Yeah, you really are starting to miss out now if oh, that's why that was happening like that.
What was it?
You had something in the search, sorry. La ilaha illallah. Oh my goodness gracious. Sorry. I swear, sometimes
What was I searching for?
You're just killing me. Alright.
Rubbish. Okay.
So this is refused.
Born on the Outs.
Yeah.
So unfortunately Trello changed something.
Can you just tell me?
I don't know. So shout out to you, big homie. Seriously, it deleted all my things. It's very annoying. Like, it kept the names of the songs, but it deleted all the information. Extremely, extremely frustrating. You used to not have to click the save button. You would just type it in, and you just close it out, and it would be saved. And then they switched something. Now you have to click the save button.
Hold on. All right,
I'll edit it in iMovie.
I didn't hear a thing.
Me neither.
So let's start this over again. This is the used for a mystery person. Let's go. Ominous opening riff.
It's a riddle. What is the matter when there's no middle? Clutching the rudder while the boat's on fire. Knee deep in fascist, but you're undecided. Your defenses came out water by your straddle fences. As yet another hate crime commences. Can't stop a Nazi with good intentions. With your silence, you vote for their oppression. With your violence, you vote continuation. The future stands in ways as millions live in pain. A modern racist claim. Why call my name in vain? Why call my name in hate? She
This is a pretty challenging song. What's up, 275 Ranger in the house? Yeah, I carved my name in hate is that line. I mean, this is clearly a
Wait, Jambi, this one's from you?
Was
Is it
this
really?
This is Jambi?
Is it really Jambi? Or are you just lying?
This isn't Jambi. No way, Jambi. Haha, I seen it. That doesn't mean it was his. Did he say it was his?
I don't know. I sent it. I didn't know if that was it. Okay,
no,
anyway.
I seen it, not I sent it.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Okay, so that song was released in October 16th, 2020. So it's extremely current.
Oh,
It was like
wow.
4 or 5 months ago.
Oh, wow.
Like
Okay.
well, not 4 or 5 months ago, but I mean, it's extremely current. And lyrically, I'm trying to figure out with myself how much fun or lack thereof I want to have with the lyrical content here.
Have fun, babe.
Because this song has been pretty much what I felt like doing Middle America. That's exactly how I felt doing Middle America.
Okay, go for it, babe.
All of the last 2 years with this craziness. Go ahead. What were you saying? Were you saying
No,
something?
I was just reacting to you putting that thing in my face.
What should I say? Should I say something? Okay, so here's a riddle. What is a moderate when there's no middle? Brilliant line. What is a moderate when there is no middle?
Wow. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
such a
Well, it's
good
true.
line because it really, really encapsulates our zeitgeist in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, like some of this is like, what are your non-negotiables?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And when I say non-negotiables, what I mean is, what are the policies or laws that you feel should be imposed on everyone, whether or not they agree?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we kind of dealt with this actually in the last Middle America episode when we were dealing with Anna and Jenk's meltdown over the Catholic Church having the audacity to remain consistent with their speech and with their position on abortion.
Yeah.
And Anna had her little 7-minute meltdown over it, but that is an issue where I say there's no middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I had a very interesting discussion with a good friend of mine from the channel, and we talked about how there are some political issues where to be in the middle is to be on the side of evil.
100%.
So, like, you could not be a moderate in Germany in the 1930s. You were either with the Nazis or you condemned what they were doing as evil, period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and in looking back historically, that's how the average German citizen is treated historically.
Mm-hmm.
They're either
Absolutely.
a horrible German who went along with an evil killing machine, or they're heroic people who stood up against it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, same thing with the transatlantic slave trade, is what a lot of people... Well, first of all, in our country, especially Americans, we have a very hard time of the value of reading and concentration and formulating worldviews that are consistent with each other in all these multidisciplinary aspects of the human experience. Like all those things that were valued in the Enlightenment and classicalism, which is really ironic, have been completely jettisoned. So people don't know things that the media doesn't design for them to know. So if you say, look, I have a moderate position here, and I say, yeah, but during the antebellum period in the transatlantic slave trade, you had abolitionists who were portrayed as crazy and mentally ill, actually.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They even had an entire terminology for it. They had a terminology for white people who wanted to liberate black people, and they had a terminology for black people who wanted to be free. Right? Which is why you need critical race theory, because critical race theory examines how these racial presuppositions work their way into every aspect of American life. So you couldn't justify slavery in just the raw dynamic because they looked exactly like us. So you need scientific racism to provide a secular justification. And then you need to delete 1 Corinthians 7 and 2 Timothy 1 out of your Bible and the Sermon on the Mount so that you can, so that's how racialism affects the church. It obviously affects the healthcare system. I mean, these people that are like losing their minds over critical race theory are a lot of it is obviously rooted in ignorance. People don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're commenting on. But I did love that opening salvo, man, because this is something that postmodernist moral relativists need to hear. There are some issues for which there cannot be a good middle ground.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, you've got these folks who are trying to get inside of the LGBT community. I'm not even going to mention them. But they're really horrible people that are trying to, co-opt the LGBT rainbow and all the rest of it. I'll talk to you about it later. I think for the purposes of these are minor attracted individuals, say it that way. And they're trying to say this is an orientation just like, whatever. So they're trying to end up, maps or whatever in the LGBT thing. And of course, our LGBT friends are rightfully horrified by that, and they're rejecting it with the loudest voice possible. Mm-hmm. If some political, I'm going to say it right now, because in 5 years, who knows? If some political guy gets on the scene and comes up with this really cool idea, this innovative idea, where minor attracted persons and minors can get together, like, there's no middle ground on that. Mm-hmm. If you support that in any way, you're a terrible person, period. There's no middle ground. So there's some issues where the Iraq War was one of them. Now, the Iraq War is just, I bring that up frequently because that's something that I fell for and I was big on, I got propagandized and I was pushing that propaganda hardcore. And so I think it's important to talk about when you've been, successfully brainwashed by your government and the media. Mm-hmm. So that line right there, could have ended the entire song because I love that point. Yeah. There are some issues where you cannot be in the middle on. Mm-hmm. But the issue is that speaks directly, that speaks most directly to a person's worldview. Because you can tell what a person's worldview is by what their non-negotiables are. Mm-hmm. So for example, we're at a place now when if I get into a debate with somebody and I make the following statement, it is always wrong to kill an innocent human child. Now you got people unable to say that. You got people unable to affirm that statement. Yeah. Okay, if you can't affirm that statement, then in what sense do the terms good and evil even mean anything? Right? So, I say this all the time. Everybody loves that picture of the 99 people saluting Hitler and then one guy's got his arms crossed. Mm-hmm. But nobody wants to be that guy. Mm-hmm. And most of us wouldn't have been that guy.
But everybody thinks they would have been
that guy. But everybody thinks they would have been that guy. Yeah. Well, let's look at the template, y'all. Yeah. In Nazi Germany, there were a group of people who were labeled as subhuman or human. They were recognized as human, but they were somehow under us. And then they were open for killing. And the entire nation went along with it. And you just have to ask yourself what group of people in my zeitgeist or community or timeline, what group of people are we saying are open for killing and why, and what are the justifications for killing these human beings? Mm-hmm. It's very important. Very important. And lest anyone be tempted to say, well, there's a difference between a human being and a human person. Sorry. Because literally the personhood argument was literally used by slave owners mm-hmm. to continue because Negroes were humans, but they were not human persons. So literally all the arguments that are used to justify abortion today were used to justify the trans legislature. Yeah, it's like the same exact template. So there are some topics where there is no middle.
Mm-hmm. I thought that they were saying You know, when we go to vote, you were just talking to somebody the other day and they were saying, what choice did I have? You know, I didn't want to vote for Trump and I didn't want to vote for Biden, but I had no choice. I had to pick one or the other and you were like, well, you could write somebody in, or, you know, where's the moderate position when there really is technically no middle? Because the middle position, or the people that you would write in, it's not being put out there enough, I guess, for people to actually feel like it's a viable option. That's what I thought they were talking about there.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly what's happening. So it starts off saying clutching, and honestly, this is this right here. Mm-hmm. These lines are really targeted toward the people that I was going after in the last 2 years, which is these neoliberals. Mm-hmm. Those are the people that he's going after in the song. He's not going after Trump fans. He's going after neoliberals who are telling us all to vote for Joe Biden. Like Jen Cougar, for example. That'd be an example of one of those people. Look what he says. Clutching the rudder while the boat's on fire, you're knee-deep in fascists, but you're undecided. All these people that were telling me that Trump was this horrible fascist, blah, 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 blah. Well, Trump never joked on the Senate floor about hanging people for jaywalking. What are you talking about? You know,
insane.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And then he goes, and your defense is, okay, but what about you straddle fences and yet another hate crime commences, can't stop a Nazi with good intentions. So, obviously, the can't stop a Nazi with good intentions is not directed at Trump supporters, because in this guy's mind, probably Trump is the Nazi, or people that support him are the Nazis. Okay, then he's going after neoliberals. That's who he's going after. That's the people that were telling us to vote for Joe Biden because Donald Trump is a fascist. Don't you remember that? He was a fascist. Look what he does to these kids at the border. Look what he does with the police state. Look what he does with the security state. Donald Trump is the worst president, most dangerous president we've ever had. That was Bernie. That was Bernie Sanders. That's when he officially decided that he was going to bend the knee and kiss the ring. So all these people have been told that. But see, here's the problem with calling Trump and all of his friends Nazis. Because the minute you do that, what you have just done then is created the justification for anybody but Trump. Because there's nobody, and to this moment I still can't figure it out, but there's nobody in the Western mind that is more vilified than Adolf Hitler.
Right.
There's no way in our current seats in Laban to insult someone and their entire movement than to say these are a bunch of Nazis.
Yeah.
But so the problem with the song is he's telling us, stop with this two-party bullshit. Stop playing the game that these people are trying to design for us. But unfortunately, brother falls into the same trap by, first of all, unfairly characterizing Trump and his followers as Nazis. They're not. I mean, that was a real historical episode and event in the human experience. And to compare what Donald Trump did in 4 years to what Adolf Hitler did is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The cultural conditions aren't even there for something like that to even happen.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it can never happen again, but what happened was if you call Trump a Nazi, and Nazism is the worst ideology by the worst people on the planet according to your average American, then anybody that you put on the other side has got to be an improvement. That's why I was not a fan of calling Mr. Trump a Nazi. Mm-hmm. Because I wasn't a fan of all the hyperbolic exaggerations of how terrible Trump was, because I knew that the Democrats were going to use that as a justification to once again screw over Bernie Sanders. Okay? So I love what he's saying here, but unfortunately, in my mind, he's still getting he's still getting caught up in the bullshit. Because you just called them Nazis. You can't stop a Nazi with good intentions. Well, honestly, the only way you can stop a Nazi is with a bullet and a bomb, right? So we go ahead and other these people. Everybody that voted for Trump has nothing to do with the Rust Belt being abandoned by the Democratic Party, has nothing to do with blue-collar workers being abandoned by the Democratic Party, has nothing to do with political correction and proto-woke overreach by Obama in the last 4 years. No, none of that. It had nothing to do with that. It's just Trump is a Nazi and everybody who supports him is a complete Nazi. So now we get to caricature these people, right? And we get to other them even more. And then when it does, here's what I've noticed about Trumpism that a lot of that the left will never take accountability for, but that they should. The first iteration of Trump voter was the I'm going to hold my nose and vote for this guy.
Yeah. For sure.
There was only one guy that was that Tim guy. He
Doesn't count.
There was only one guy in our circle that made it public before it was popular that he was voting for Trump. And I initially put a laugh emoji by his thing because I thought like the homie was joking. And then I was looking at the comment thread and I said, holy shit, he's being serious. And I remember I sent you a screenshot. I was like, yo, look at this shit, bro.
Did you change your laughing emoji?
Oh, yeah, after I talked to him, because you know how I get down, because I
Yeah.
talked to him in private, like, yo, how real is this, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Because he kind of runs for, he's
Yeah,
always running for
yeah.
city council or something
Yeah.
like that. So I'm like, okay, like, is he trying to get attention? Like, what's the drill, bro?
Yeah.
He was like, and he started laying out all this shit about Trump. I was like, oh my God, this guy's real. Like, he was the first one. You know what I'm saying? But aside from him, the average Trump voter was just like, oh my God. But it was because of Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
She was just way too unlikable. She was
Anybody but Hillary.
The woman was impossible
Seriously.
to like. She was.
Yep.
She was horrible, and she was saber rattling about Russia. That's why I was like, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I saw Bernie with Killer Mike, that's the first time I was like, you know what? The Democrats might have a shot here. Because my mom grew up like we were a Democrat house.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
That's so weird
Oh,
because we
yeah.
were straight Republican.
Oh yeah, black people, it's Democrats are our party, blah blah. And then you had Clinton. Everybody fell in love with Clinton. My mom used to
That's
be
so
Clinton. Blah,
wild.
blah. Oh yeah. My whole So like I didn't turn against the Democratic Party until 9/11. That's when I turned against them, because all my Democratic friends were saying no to war, and I was like, oh no,
Oh,
no,
wow.
no.
Oh,
People,
wow.
I said, people have to die. Don't you understand? They attacked our country. And they're like, yeah, but we're going to kill way more of them. I'm like, exactly. Don't you want some? And they're like, you are crazy. I'm like, they attacked our country. And they're like, we understand, but we're not the most important people on the planet. I'm like, what are you talking about? We're not the most. We're America. I was not and I wasn't one, you know me, like, I wasn't one of these, like, oh, let's have a fruitful political conversation. Like, I had my first real, actual, symptomatic issues with PTSD actually came from 9/11. Was watching those people jump from the,
Wow.
yeah, when I was getting psyched out.
Yeah.
Like, and they were like looking at the symptoms. They're like, yeah, man, you know, whatever. And like the situation
Oh my gosh.
that I was, dreaming about or whatever was, everybody would be like, oh, well, yeah. I mean, obviously you're going to have you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like all those symptoms are the same things I feel when I think about those people drop. That was it for me. Like that, seeing those people jump from those buildings pushed me way past rationality. I'd been on those streets. I'd walked over there. I'd walked that place hundreds of times. Like that was just it for me. Like it literally drove me insane, and I didn't care. People were like, "Don't you realize there's like hundreds of thousands of people are going to die?" I'm like, "Yes, and we're going to kill them. It's going to be great." Wow. And so that's when I turned against the Democratic Party.
Wow.
It was because of that specifically, and obviously now coming to find out after knowing what I know now, it's like, holy shit! Like this is not. It wasn't as simple as oil, but it wasn't as simple as we're going to fight terrorists either. Like there's like
a lot of complexities.
And a lot of the shit was just like set out in open source, but just said in ways that sounded crazy. But then when you look at what we actually did, follow the playbook like almost to a T. And then the Arab Spring grows out of that, and whatever.
Wow.
And now we're basically in a staring contest between us and Putin as to who's going to control the petrol in that region. I mean, this shit is crazy. And of course, but anyway, so that was one where I was completely and totally wrong. And in 275 we left Twin Tower and FDNY calling cards on the dead Muj, which would be the Mujahids, the dudes who were fighting. But if you were not part of that whole situation, like, you don't understand what it's like. and I'm not giving any excuse to it, but that's when I just like completely turned against the Democratic Party. I'm like, these people hate our country.
Wow.
You know, these people, blah blah blah. And to this day, I think some of them actually like legitimately hate America. Like some of them do. Like some of the stereotype is true. Like they legit hate our country, but they didn't hate our country. They just didn't go along with it. But I was just not like prepared emotionally to handle that. Because you know how deeply I feel everything and things like, you know, what happens in my mind. So I would watch and I would tape it and I would watch how long it took them to drop and I would what were they thinking and all this and did they have parents, and then there was this documentary on the phone. Like, yeah, it was
Why
terrible.
do you do that to yourself?
Well, I didn't know I was doing it to myself at the time. Now I know. That's why I say like I don't watch these videos with these black guys getting killed by police and all this shit. Like I don't watch it anymore. But you know, because now you know, it sounds crazy like being that granular. But think about how crazy. I mean, millions of people watched this guy die. George Floyd died. Millions of people watched him die multiple times. Like that's sick. Like our society is completely sick. Like yeah, I mean, they're probably not going to go into it like the level of detail that I do. But I mean, it's you know. Yeah, but my point is,
It's gonna not be healthy at all.
characterizing all these people as Nazis is not only is it uncharitable, but it's just stupid, and it plays right into the playbook, unfortunately, of the neo-libs that he's trying to condemn in the song, because at the end of the day, most good people are not going to be good with. Being called a Nazi.
Yeah.
If you and you know there is this like refusal to validate anything that these people were saying, these Trump people were saying. The refusal to listen to them, just completely stereotype these people as the world's worst people, basket of deplorables, fascists. And I remember, you know, we got into a conflict in Middle America because Izzy was saying, look, I can't bring myself to vote for Biden. And somebody got on and called her a fascist. You're voting for a fascist? And then people were saying I was selfish. I said, listen, I'm not going to vote for somebody who authored the crime bill just completely destroyed my community. Are you on crack? And they were like, you're so selfish putting you're just one group of people, blah, 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 blah.
Really?
Yeah. And then that guy went around to play victim. It was unbelievably... The paternalistic condescension of left-wing people last year was intolerable. Like, I don't think they understood. I don't think they ever will understand how paternalistic and absolutely offensive they are. And to this moment, every time I see some story about these kids at the borders or Kamala saying go home and all the rest of it, I don't get mad at either one of them. I'm not mad at Kamala or Biden. Did Biden ever pretend to be anything else?
No.
But you voted him in, and what I do like with this though is when he says with your
Kamala was going to be able to do something.
Do what?
I don't know. She was talking all that.
Well, Tulsi already explained to us about Kamala.
Yeah. Well.
Tulsi already showed us what Kamala was. So, I mean, this is a woman that had to be ordered by the Supreme Court to release people of color, prisoners, for non-violent offenses.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's
right.
Kamala and Biden once ever pretended, hey, what are you going to do for black people? Hey, man, you don't vote for me. You're not black. Check the records. Hey, what are you going to do about this fact that, you and Obama displaced 3 million of us? You built the cages which Trump filled. How are we going to rectify that situation? Oh, you don't like what I did under the Obama administration? Go vote for Trump. They've been like that from the beginning. They've never pretended to be anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But you vote, and he says, with your silence, you vote for their oppression. With your violence, you vote continuation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm glad somebody said it. And if you are a friend of mine and you were on the left and me and you had some very, very stark conversation, it was because of that bullshit. It was your paternalistic bullshit telling me that Biden was a better option. Tell the kids at the border, or tell the people that Kamala just told not to get there, not even to come over here. Tell them Biden's a better option. And it was. I'll tell you what.
What is this? I carved my name in hate.
I gotta say, I'm going to vent real quick. It was a very. That was a hard time last year, man. Because on the one hand, you had leftists who I think they did care about the black experience, but because they recently came into consciousness of what was happening to us, they didn't realize that there was a whole past before them of people who were struggling and were in it. So I'm somebody who watched all of those sessions about the crime bill. I saw Hillary call us super predators live. I saw that. I remember talking to my mom and saying, hey, I thought you said that these people were on our side. I remember all that shit. They are just now coming into it conveniently with Trump. And so they dismiss all that pain and say, none of that's relevant. It's time to vote for the person that the media, controlled by white people, tells you to vote for. And if not, you're being disloyal or you're being selfish. And they really couldn't figure out why I was completely ruthless with them last year. Now, look, I'm always going to say, look, I'm a pacifist in the sense of that's my conviction. That's how Jesus wants us to live, to be verbal pacifists as well as physical pacifists. But I've got a very, very long way to go. And to this moment, I'm still not sorry for the way I talked to a bunch of you, because the fact of the matter is, while you were out there pontificating and being all righteous, there's people suffering as a consequence of the decisions you made. And we can't do this, there's only two-party system, and if we vote for a third party, blah, 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 blah. No, you're responsible. That's the thing. It's like we experience as Americans one of the greatest privileges ever, which is the illusion that we can choose our own government. But we have handed the power to these people by consistently playing within their rules and repeating their silly-ass talking points. That's why it's so important that Aaron Mate debunks this Syria nonsense. Why? So that we could spike on the Young Turks? No. So that we have a fighting shot of not going to war again. Because we've seen this playbook before. We have to learn.
The facts are, schools do not teach how to think anymore. They teach what to think.
Correct.
And all of that has been lost. That I talk to the kids around, and you can tell that they are not being taught to formulate their opinions off of the information that they have that would help to guide them. And it's really unfortunate, but it seems like, well, this kind of seems like it's a smart plan. If you get all the kids in the public school system, you train them up that way, and then you kind of feed them something. Everybody's walking around with a lot of one-liners about why they have the political views that they have. It's the same thing when they find out you're homeschooled and they say, what about your social life? It's all the same stuff. Everybody has the same talking points. You have to step out of the box and start questioning things. And, I saw this thing, it reminded me of Johan. It was like, even question the answers. Make the answers have to answer for themselves. Like, look beyond what you're seeing and actually start figuring out if this stuff makes sense, if this is good for our country, if this is good for us. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on that is not. And you're right. We could be so much more than a two-party system, but because we think the middle is not going to work, or that party, the voting it in, is not going to work, it's never going to work. Because everybody says, well, I'm not going to write anybody in. It's just going to waste my vote. Well, if everybody keeps thinking like that,
that's how they maintain the power.
Right.
Right. And like I said, everybody was self-righteously pointing at the Trump people. Anytime that Trump would say something mean on Twitter, they'd say, you voted for this. Okay, well, you voted for a racist who is now killing these. I mean, good night. The Mexican thing really troubles me, man. It really, 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 really troubles me.
And
Born on the outside, carved my
the
name.
Stuff that the kids at school can get a hold of, some places they can get a hold of birth control, some places they can get a hold of like medicine that helps them with like ADD and stuff. And I think
that's cool.
Well, yes and no. Why are the parents not being informed?
That
was a discussion that I was seeing. I don't know if it's actually gone through.
That's why Junior pulled his kids out. They were trying to hit him all up with all kinds of
This is what I'm saying.
Without his knowledge.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about.
Without
I didn't know
knowledge.
about Junior, but
yeah. But that's what people like when they talk about fascism, like.
And I feel like they're trying to undermine the parents.
Oh, of course they do.
Let us teach you. Let us give you this. Okay, the school is not the parents of your children.
This is a woman. Remember that woman on MSNBC, the black lady? She said that we have this silly notion that our kids belong to us, but they don't belong to us. They belong to the community. Whoa, I'm going to stop you right there.
Back your ass up.
I got to stop you right there, my sister.
No.
Please. Please don't make me.
No.
Don't make me do it. All right.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot going on, but this is a real salvo, calling out the bullshit that in the last 2 years of neoliberalism.
Yeah.
And inshallah, I hope it dies, man. I hope it dies. A horrible, bloody, but quick death, inshallah.
9.3 for me.
Yeah, 9.5. We got a long way to go, but I think self-criticism is important, and I think that this is one of the differences between this and a Tom McDonald song for me, because this guy has earned the right to criticize that group of people. Because he's Refuse, I think they're a punk band, because I think we talked about them in Punk Week. Like, they've been consistent with that stuff, and it's nuanced, and they're thinking clearly about it, and they're not just regurgitating talking points. You can tell this is their personal belief and experience. Like, I'm much better with a left-wing takedown like this than the Tom McDonald stuff, which is just simply a mishmash of Tucker Carlson and, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
And then you put some rhymes around it for people who are not familiar with hip hop, so they think that you're actually, shout out to but I think that takes a level of intelligence in itself to understand that. Right? So, but these people who thought that I disliked the Tom McDonald, fake woke, although I gave him very, very high scores. It wasn't the thing that got me artistically was I was like, this is lazy writing, right? I mean, this is low-hanging fruit. This right here is what it looks like for an intramural sort of criticism. I think they did a really, really, really good job at it, although I still think that obviously that they fell victim to some of the residual elements of the propaganda machine. Having said that, overshadow Sean. Tom McDonald has the YouTubers believing he's written more than one song. Truth is, he hasn't. Look, and I'm not dissing Tom McDonald, because I think it takes look, there's 60 million people on YouTube, guys.
Yeah.
So anybody that you see that's at 85K or above, like, they've done something, they worked hard or done something, they're in the top 1%, I give them my respect. I just, Anyway, 9.5. What'd you give it?
9.2.
All right, there you are, dear listener. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.